Okay, we're on Maaser Sheni, Perak Aleph Mishnah Dalet, fourth Mishnah, the first chapter of Maaser Sheni. Halokeh, in the last Mishnah we learned what happens if somebody uses money of a behemah to buy a behemah for shlamim, for a korban, okay, or he buys a chayah in order to eat. We learned that the skin is not considered, the skin is yatzah l'chulin. It's not considered still kadosh, even though you can't eat it, you don't have to sell it. But in this Mishnah we learn exactly the opposite. You buy a chayah in order to offer as a shlamim, as a korban. The problem is, as we learned in the last Mishnah, these are the chayot. The kosher chayot are the ayal, the tzvi, yachmor, all these different animals. Okay, I don't know exactly what a shor habar is, a ta'o. They're not exactly sure what all of them are, but you see these ibexes every now and then if you go tiyuling near the Yam HaMelech. Nonetheless, okay, if you buy a chayah, one of these animals, to offer as a shlamim, you can't. Why? And korban says about Tinura mina chayah, because it's obvious, and the Torah says mina bakar umina tzon, that you buy a korban from bakar and tzon, from sheep and cattle. You cannot bring a korban from a chayah. So you buy a chayah in order to offer it as a shlamim, or you buy a behemah libisar ta'ava. You buy a sheep, you buy a cow in order to just slaughter it and eat it. So then what happens? Lo yatzah or lechulin. Then the skin does not become or lechulin. It does not go out. It's not considered chulin. Rather, it continues to have its kedushat maaser. So first we'll learn the pshat of the Mishnah. The simple pshat of the Mishnah is, if you buy a chayah for zivchei shlamim, then you slaughter it. Are you allowed to eat it? Seems like it doesn't become shlamim. You can't use it for shlamim. You can eat it, but the skin, you have to sell the skin and then use the money that you derive from the skin, from the or, to a tanner, and use that money to buy other food. And the same thing is true. What's wrong with the behemah lebasar ta'ava? The Bartanura says the following. Chachamim gazru, the Chachamim made a gzeira, shelo yignu behemah mimot Maaser Sheni ela shlamim. They made a gzeira, they wanted people to use their money to buy a behemah and then offer it on the mizbeach. Why? The Torah says you can use it for whatever you want, so people would just buy it and they wanted steaks. And they didn't bring it on the mizbeach. Therefore, so once they saw everyone was just buying lamb because they wanted to have lamb and they weren't offering it on the mizbeach, they weren't offering the fats and the blood on the mizbeach, they said, sorry, you can't buy it. And if you do buy a behemah, the besar ta'ava, then lo yatsa or lechulin. Then the skin will still retain its kedusha, and you have to then sell that, and that's a big pain in the neck. Okay? But that's interpretation number one. That's a simple interpretation, meaning of the words. The Bartanura says that it's not what it means, that lo yatsa or lechulin. The Bartanura is basing it on the Gemara in Menachot, Daf Pei Dalet. The Gemara in Menachot says, what it means when it says lo yatzah or lechulin, it means the following: Kolomar, eino betorat zosh yatzah or lechulin. It is not in the category of those whose skin is considered chulin. Ella, rather, lo kana maaser lo chayah v'lo behemah. Rather, it's not considered maaser at all. Meaning, if you did something you're not supposed to do, you bought a chayah for a shlamim, it doesn't work. Or you bought a behemah lebasar ta'ava, Chazal said you can't do it. Then the animal itself is not considered maaser at all. And therefore you have to buy the same value. You paid, 1,000, 3,000 shekel to buy a cow from money of Maaser Sheni. You're out 3,000 shekel, you have to buy 3,000 shekel of something else, of actual food. Why? It's as if you bought the animal not for eating, but for plowing. The lo kana maaser, it's not considered maaser. You bought it, now you have but it's not considered kedushat maaser, and therefore you have to buy something else. That's a huge chumrah. The Gemara says that's not the pshat in the Mishnah, but that's the interpretation of the Gemara in Menachot, and that's how we interpret it halachically. Mishnah continues. Let's say you bought a jug of wine that are open or closed. Makom shedarkani maker ptuchot, but it's in a place where they sell them open bottles, i.e., they sell it on tap, and you bought it with the bottle, so you paid extra for the bottle. Then in that case, lo yatzah kan lechulin. Then the container does not go to chulin. You have to sell the container because you used money, extra money, in order to buy a bottle that's normally not sold. So therefore, you have to sell it and then use that money for Maaser Sheni. Salei zeitim v'salei anavim imakli. Similarly, if you bought baskets of olives or baskets of grapes with the kli, similarly, yalo yatzu d'mei akli lechulin. Okay, the money of the kli that you spent extra does not become chulin. And Bartanura says, if you should derech lemachwan below akli, because they would sell Nobody bought the basket together with the grapes. I mean, they didn't have plastic or cheap containers. Nobody bought the basket. The basket is not part of the sale. It's not considered part of the food, and therefore, you have the money you spent on the basket. You didn't have the right to spend Maaser Sheni money on the basket, and you have to use the equal amount of money in order to buy food. We'll stop here. If you have any comments or questions, as always, arsmalter@gmail.com, and we'll dedicate the learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a good day.